It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine Saturday morning to you.
Oh, good morning, Andy.
Good. We're good.
It's good. Wait a minute. Do we have our fourth?
Our fourth.
He hasn't shown. Yeah. Well, joining us on the podcast this morning is a long dead CGI James Dean.
He just...
Because, frankly, there was just nobody else who could join us in the world.
When you think about who we
living.
needed as our fourth podcast guest, he's the only one who fits the bill.
Were you... he is the only one. He's the only one who can keep up, frankly. I mean, really, in the world of podcasting, of high-stakes movie podcasting, it is dead CGI James Dean that can keep up. Was this ridiculous? I'm sorry. I know we need to talk about your thing, but this has been lighting me up for some time now.
No, it's ridiculous. And as I said in Discord, I don't understand at all. It's like digital puppetry, and it's a tremendous... I don't know how you credit that performance. You've got somebody else doing the voice, somebody else doing the motion capture. So whose performance is it? It's completely different from Andy Serkis as Gollum, which is one person wearing basically a digital costume.
Are you kidding me? That was not a real being? Sorry.
That's right. I forgot.
I believe it.
That was good.
I forgot. I thought Andy thought The Hunt was a documentary.
It was a really amazing trip
that.
around New Zealand.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, Ed, let's just say before we get more irate, this is we're talking about a new film directed by Anton Ernst and Tati Golich, and it is they're using James Dean, who died in 1955. In a movie that is that they are making called Finding Jack, an adaptation of the Gareth Crocker novel. And what they said was, here we go, quote, "We searched high and low for the perfect character to portray the role of Rogan, which has some extreme complex character arcs, and after months of research, we decided on James Dean."
No. That's like the weirdest audition ever.
It's horrible. It like, as a living actor, let's say you go into that audition.
Yeah.
What is it that they're asking you to do? Because, like, noting that you're going up against a bar that has been set on dead James Dean.
Right.
It's just such a weird... It's
a gimmick. I mean, it would have made sense if they were doing a period piece and and James Dean was a character, so you have his performance. So, like, what was it? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, wasn't there Steve McQueen to do something like that where you've got a historical film? Makes sense. This story they're telling, James Dean was not a person in this story. So to me, it's completely insulting to every other living actor right now to say, oh, you know what? None of you are really qualified to do this. This dead guy who actually won't be giving the performance at all. Other people will, whose names will probably never be known, are going to do it. And that's what it's a complete just money grab, and it insults me, and I don't know if I believe in
do you guys feel like this was inevitable? Like, I feel like we've been going down this road for some time. I mean, I remember when there was a big stink when they did I can't remember if it was Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire dancing with the Hoover in a Super Bowl commercial.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, musicians are doing it all the time with their images people are doing it with musicians' images, I should say, putting them on stage to perform songs. It's become a thing, but there's something about it that now that it's here, I'm like, I knew this was a road we were on, but I didn't actually know I really didn't want to get to this destination.
This is a different destination than I thought those other things we're getting to, because with the, Dancing with the Hoover, I think that was just bad CG, animation, but it was the actual performance of that person. Here, like I said, it's a digital James Dean costume, which is completely different from taking existing material. And to me, there's no good reason. When they did it in what was it, Rogue One, it was, we have, these characters and we're going to use them. Again, there's no reason why James Dean. I can't justify that choice if we had other reasons. And I think it's an interesting idea to have going back to Gemini Man, where you're using basically a young Will Smith digital mask. There's a reason for that that's important to the story, because we chose to cast Will Smith and we needed a younger version. Again, makes sense to me. I have yet to have an explanation of that justifies to me this decision of this actor and why a digital performance
and it's even necessary. Different when it made you and other people think about a show that you guys covered on the Trailer Rewind, the Congress, which has an actress who basically goes through a digital recording in order to become a digital actress. But even that is a different future, because that entails her willingness to sign the dotted line and say, take my recordings and now they're yours, and, have me act in whatever. That's different than this thing with James Dean, who obviously didn't even know this was coming down the road. It's just, I don't know. I think the whole thing is, like you said, it's a gimmick to get notice. And I don't know, part of me makes, I wonder if it ever actually is going to get off the ground.
I do too. Although I don't know, they seem pretty enthusiastic about it, and the family apparently supports it. And that's, I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
I was wondering, who's the James Dean family? Is it, did he have siblings, or is it?
I don't know.
I'm just wondering who that is. Yeah, somebody's managing him, I guess. But I don't know. He died so young. It's not like he had a family or anything. I mean, his own personal family.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I keep going back to the 3 movies that he was in, and I think, okay, is there any other living actor that I can imagine in those movies? Because they would probably be fine as this character of Rogan. And the list is fairly substantial. So this is just a creepy, weird publicity play, and it's not tasteful.
Yeah.
That's the thing I was up in arms about.
And it's the funny thing is, it's a Vietnam War era, so it's not like they're in the era when he was alive. It's
right. He was not. It's not like he was a contemporary of the period.
Right, exactly.
Well, this is like Boston Robotics. This is what it is. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
But what?
We're all going to die because
Andy,
they keep building robot dogs.
I wish they would stop building robot dogs.
They're so cute and fun, and they wiggle.
Exactly. That's what they said
also
about
cute till they're wiggling their razor blade claws on your face.
Yes.
And look what happened to those horror vacuums that spurned a whole generation.
Did you see I think I posted in Discord, the Corridor Crew? They did their Boston Robotics sort of knockoff.
That's one of my favorite things in the world.
What was it, like last week, where the robot sort of like fights back?
They're abusing the robot. See, humans are stupid.
But they do. But what made that so believable is that's what you see in those, where they've got the hockey sticks of their distance. They sort of like, can we make this walking robot sort of stumble and fall over? And they just took it a little bit further. And
This is the thing about Corridor Crew is I look at really all their work, but that one in particular, it just highlights the enormous Cassandra complex that's going on right now. Like, I just am sure that Corridor Crew sees the future and we just don't believe them. And that's all going to be our doom.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what else is happening in...
Is there anything else on the news?
Let's see. I see that in my search for what's going on in the world, the original surviving Ghostbusters cast will return in Ghostbusters 2020.
I just don't even know what to say about that.
Bill Murray, Sigourney Weaver, Annie Potts each completed their work on Ghostbusters 2020.
I still don't even know what to say about that.
About
I'm just not a fan of
2020?
I'm not a fan of the Ghostbusters franchise anyway, so it's like, I'm not too excited.
Okay, then let's mine another 80s era thing. And how about the TV series based on A League of Their Own?
That
What?
Yes.
That strikes me as something like, let's come up with something because we need to have more programming for girls.
That's Amazon turning the beloved 1992 sports dramedy A League of Their Own into a half-hour comedy series.
Now, I wonder, I don't know anything about this, but I wonder if they're doing it in the era. Like if this is still going to be taking place during the war, and it's women who are playing ball because
it does.
It does. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, you could just do the same thing, but it's just present day. Because I think that you could easily tell that story and just make it a present day story. Save on all the period costumes.
Yep, it begins with the Formation League in 1943 and follows the Rockford Peaches season to season as they struggle to keep the team alive. Yes, starring Good Place's Darcy Carden.
I can see that.
I love Darcy Carden.
Oh, I know.
I can see that happening. I mean, people love sports shows.
Yeah.
I mean, Friday Night Lights went from a successful film to a very successful TV series because you're able to follow the challenges over courses of seasons. And I think that's actually a pretty good way to do this. And I think it could work.
Have either of you guys watched Glow on Netflix?
No.
About
I haven't.
Oh my gosh.
No, and I know I should because everybody I love is in it.
It is so good. It is so good. It's taken the first season, I assume, is based on a somewhat is, factual of how things got started, but then they just developed these characters in a great way that by season 3, I think it was, where they were like taking the show to Vegas, I thought they're done. There's nowhere to go. And they have a really strong writing team that has just found great stories to tell with these characters. And it keeps me hooked. So I'm hoping for the same thing here with The League of Their Own, where you get some great characters with some great actors here to tell some very entertaining stories. Unlike Ghostbusters 2020, which makes me feel like
you're a fan of Ghostbusters. Are you excited about this new?
No, because it makes me think of like Blues Brothers 2000. It just.
Why did you make me think of that one again?
Is Harold Ramis in it?
Oh, they determined that the only way they could do it is if they actually brought Harold Ramis in to perform the part. So he will be performing the digital Harold Ramis.
He's been exhumed. Actually, this is a different thing. They've exhumed him and they've brought his.
It'll be like the Monty Python sketch where they just drape him on the couch.
There's actually a robot Andy Serkis inside of him. And he's actually puppeteering the exhumed corpse of Harold Ramis.
Oh,
that's horrible! I can't believe you guys let me say that.
Okay. We did. Not only did we let you say it, it's out there on the internet forever. It's going to haunt you for decades.
Yeah, that's on you.
Like the ghost of Harold Ramis.
I was going the James Dean route. You went the straight up. Let's reanimate his corpse route.
I do have to say I have one more bit of news that I think is very exciting for all of us. You remember, because I know it's at the top of your flick chart, the hit film Kung Fury.
Yes.
Have you heard about the Kung Fury 2? The director has landed a couple of real casting gotchas. Yeah, this is good. Arnold Schwarzenegger will be playing the cigar-chomping POTUS, and Michael Fassbender.
Oh, my gosh.
He is going to be the gun-toting sidekick Colt Magnum, plus time-traveling Hitler, the Lonely Island's Jorma Taccone, and machine gun-wielding Vikings, half dino, half human law enforcer, known as Triceracop, and David Hasselhoff.
It is it's bananas that got where it did, especially because it's just a short film, basically. It's just a short film that these guys did. And here it is.
And it was great.
It's entertaining. It is entertaining. It's like, I can't remember what I rated it on Letterboxd. I'm sure I could go look, probably like 2 stars, but I probably gave it a heart.
It's right up there with Wolf.
Probably, yeah. Which, yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Kung Fury.
Right.
I'm
those are
looking
the things
now.
I was excited about. Oh, there's apparently, for those who are gearing up for Star Wars, Resistance Reborn is a book that just came out last week that you need to read if you want to know what happened between the last movie and the new movie. Apparently, this is a book that is in canon, Resistance Reborn, in the Star Wars universe.
Wait. I got to read a book between these movies?
They just say that. They've been doing this
No.
on like all the other movies, and, the comics tie between them and stuff, but you don't have to, They like to say you have to.
But I will say that No. I'm not saying, I certainly am not saying that. All they're saying is this is a story that takes place in between, and that it is something that if you are interested in such things, you can go read them. But I will tell you that I've read a number of these more recent books, and they're really good. Some of them are quite good. And I think the authors in the Star Wars universe have done a great job of playing with perspectives. And I think they're... in some cases, dare I say, better than the movies.
How do they compare? How do they compare to the Jack Reacher novels, Pete? Tell me that.
Shall we do trailers?
We're going back to that, huh?
Okay.
Old wounds.
It's a little salty this morning for you, Pete.
I know.
Little salty.
Oh, wow. All right. So trailers, who's up first? Steve, you posted first.
Yes, I did. And it felt like it was, I don't know, that time of year when we start getting those Oscar movies. I don't know. This one, I'm surprised I hadn't heard about it until before now, since it's coming out in December. It's only a month away, but this is a film with Samuel Jackson, Anthony Mackie, and Nicholas Hoult as the true story of one of the first African-American bankers in the United States. So it is an interesting story about the history of this country, racism, all of those things. And then it said directed by George Nolfi. And I recognized that name, and I could not place him for the life of me of why that name struck a bell. And I thought, oh, now I remember writer of Ocean's 12, Bourne Ultimatum, but then he directed The Adjustment Bureau, which also starred Anthony Mackie. Because I was wondering who's tackling sort of this heavy subject matter. Is it somebody that has sort of a pedigree in these types of films, or are we going to end up with another Green Book, which is potential fear for a film like this? Is he the right guy to be telling this story? I don't know, but it looks like a really fun story. Again, I love learning about the history of this country, stories I didn't know, based on true events. So this sort of just struck me as one of those holiday time of the year type films that be good for the whole family. You'll learn a little bit about America and Samuel Jackson, Anthony Mackie. What could go wrong?
And this one is of note because it is I believe it's the first trailer that's being released for one of Apple TV Plus's filmish properties. So this is another one that's like Netflix has been doing all along. Gets a little bit of a window of a theatrical release and then drops on Apple TV+.
It does? Where did you... I didn't even know that. Did I miss...
Apple has offered to look as one of its first few Apple TV Plus movies with a trailer for The Banker. Look at how woke you are. Your streaming service woke, Steve.
No, oh man.
That you are...
No, because this is going to be... Is this going to be one of these things now where it's like...
Oh, it definitely is going to be one of these things.
No.
It's definitely one of those things.
Because like last weekend, I went and saw Motherless Brooklyn, and my brother texted me, and he's like, "Hey, how come you're not going to see The Irishman?" I'm like, "Because it's not here." It's the same thing. Limited release December 6th, digital. So
it might not play theatrically here.
It might not play anywhere except for like the coasts again, which irritates me.
I know. I'm going to move to LA just so I can start watching these movies in theaters.
Yeah.
It's only, what is it, a 3-hour drive? You should just...
For him, it's like 45 minutes. He's almost there.
He's on the other side.
East LA.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I just walked into this mess.
You did.
I don't mind the studios doing this type of model, but this whole like studios versus streaming services and the theaters and all this, just... Think of the people. We want to see a movie, and just let me see the movie in the way I want to see it. Here's my $12. I want to see this. Nope, sorry, we're only playing it in these 2 theaters. You can watch it on your TV at home. Oh, even better, watch it on your phone.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and
no,
but just watch real close, Steve. Real close. It's the same thing.
Okay, here's the thing.
Yep, that's exactly the.
I know that Scorsese is up in arms about this, and I get it. I really appreciate his opinions, and I definitely see the problems that's happening. But I think that we are in an evolution of the medium right now, and certainly an evolution of the distribution services. And unfortunately, just the way that people are gravitating to product, it's shifting into this method where the release window for theatrical is going to be smaller for the types of films that likely are the ones that Scorsese is talking about. It's the way that things are shifting. And I'll just say, if it means that I'm still getting these sorts of films, then great, because I think The Banker looks great. I really want to see it. I'm curious about this story. And would I prefer it to be a big theatrical release? Absolutely. But I know things are shifting, and I don't know if the system is working to change that at all. And I know we're supposed to be talking about this trailer, but got onto this too.
No,
this looks like a really compelling story. I love these actors in it. I am very compelled by what I see here. And I mean, it looks like a theatrical thing. It doesn't look like a TV movie. So yeah, I mean, count me in on this however I can watch it. But I do think it is an interesting element in the conversation of how are things shifting in our in this industry right now, and and why, and is there going to be a change, or are we going to have to just deal with watching stuff this way now?
No, it's just like, hey, you know what? It costs so much to print books. We're just going to release them in LA and New York. Everybody else, you can just get them on your Kindle, okay? And that's it. It's like, no. I'm not willing to settle for that. I like the experience of a physical book. I should have that. I enjoyed the theatrical experience of being part of a community reacting to an artist's creation, and to say, yeah, you don't really get that. The fact that we have no voice in it, irritates
we
me.
do. It's our pocketbooks. I mean, that's what our voice is. But unfortunately, the theaters, it's them. They want to make as much money as they can, and so they're going to take the things that are going to get them the most money. And it's
like me paying $15 to watch a digital projection, which costs them very little to actually get it to the theater. They're not shipping a physical print anywhere. What does it cost you to upload it to that projector and charge me $15 for it because I want to sit in a nice recliner? Ugh.
Yeah.
You make me so angry.
I said this is the first. I said, not at risk of poking the dragon, this is not the first on Apple TV Plus service. They'd already released the trailers for The Elephant Queen and Hala, both of which do get a limited theatrical release before they hit the streaming service. Sorry, Steve.
All right. Next.
Smaug has been awoken.
Great trailer, though.
Hope I get to see it.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for nothing, Apple.
Yeah, that's going to be...
I'm doing just fine with Apple TV Plus, y'all.
That's going to be the frustrating thing, because if there is product that you want to see, are they still going to release physical copies? So, like, if you don't...
Oh, like Blu-ray?
Yeah, so, like, if you don't subscribe to a service, are you never going to get to watch that now? Or will they still release it in some format so you can check it out from the library or something like that? Like, that's my fear.
I have an incredibly difficult time imagining a company like Apple is going to release their movies
physical media?
On Blu-ray, on physical media. I have an incredibly hard time imagining that's going to happen. It might, because they have been surprising me around every corner in this thing. But I just...
There is an audience, though, and obviously, I mean, corporations aren't going to care about those particular audiences that only watch their product for free through the library, or other formats, and so they might just not care anymore. And that might be where we are. And I mean, that will be sad, because if that's the case, then you're only going to get to watch these things if you subscribe to certain things, which is a weird place.
Well, It will. It will be interesting because so much of Apple's mission is around like the intersection of technology and liberal arts. That's what they talk about. That's what their keynotes talk about. That's where they are. Yeah. They put their mouths behind this particular message. And I think it would be a real shame for Apple to ignore an audience that is not on the streaming service. And it would be very telling about the changing nature of their business, not just the industries. So. Potentially a little hard.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
What's your trailer?
I did a little trailer shift late last night because there was a trailer that I saw when Steve and I went to see Parasite, which we didn't talk about, but we did, and I really loved it. The trailer was for The Lodge, though, a new film from Neon. And this was one that I was very excited about when I saw the trailer, because it just looks downright creepy in all the best ways. Very, very great. And, at first watching it, I was like, this is a strange direction to go for a sequel to The Shack. I didn't know that this is kind of the direction things would shift at some point, go from that.
When did you start working on that joke?
A while ago. Just a while ago. I forgot that I had it, and so I had to rework it back in.
You just back pocketed. No, that was good. Yeah. I like how that played out.
But no, this film, it's the story of a man and his two kids with his fiance, soon to be their stepmom, who come to go stay in a lodge in the winter, and he has to leave for something, and so he leaves this woman with his two kids, and the three of them, there's some tension between them because it's not their mom, all that sort of stuff. And then creepy stuff just starts happening. Is she wandering the house in the middle of the night without realizing it? And, the kids are really creeped out. Everything about the trailer looks great. All of the quotes that pop up throughout just make it that much more exciting, because everyone who's seen this clearly says it's just super scary, and I just love all of that. I am unfamiliar with the directing pair, Veronica France and Severin Fiala. I don't know if I've seen, let's see. Oh, Goodnight Mommy. I remember it saying, from the directors of Goodnight Mommy, which I didn't see, but I did hear about, and so that piques my curiosity with that one. But this one, we've got the Riley. I never know how to say her name. Is it Keough?
Yeah.
She is the woman, and then we have the kids. One of which, and is it Jaden Martell, who is in It, who does a great job as the main boy here. And I love his look. From whether it's like St. Vincent or what was the one, Midnight Special, that he was also in. Like, he is a really compelling child actor that I think is going down a really interesting road with his career. And so, I don't know, everything about this looks creepy and right up my alley. Very excited. What do you guys think?
Which one of you had the joke that this should be called Midwinter?
Right.
That's me.
That was Ace's.
That's
exactly
great.
what I felt. Who was Alicia Silverstone in the trailer?
I don't think you see her in the trailer.
She is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is maybe the most intriguing thing about this trailer for me, because I think that I'm still haunted house movies. That's a tough one for me to penetrate my interest. I'm gonna work on it, but it's tough. I'm seeing Alicia Silverstone in the credits on this actually is really intriguing. I'd love to see what she's up to right now, and see her in a movie like this, I think would be really fun. The trailer looks damn spooky, and so I'll, in my new, this is my new leaf, where now I apparently love horror movies. I'm going to check it out.
That's what I was waiting to hear.
Wish I lived in Phoenix. You guys could hold my hands.
Oh.
We're actually here in Portland. We're in North Phoenix, so you guys should just come over.
You just watch it with JJ. He can watch from
He's gonna
over
watch
your shoulder,
from the aisle.
Yes.
Well, this trailer should feel like home, though. I mean, it probably looks just like this out your window right now, right?
Right.
All right. Well, this one, right now, it has a release date, looks like in January. It premiered at Sundance earlier this year. Right now, the U.S. And the Netherlands, February 7th. Weirdly, Mexico is getting it December 6th. So if you want to go see it early, just head down to Mexico. And
well, I can do that on December 6th since I won't likely be able to see The Banker on December 6th.
And we're still nursing that one. Okay.
All right.
Good.
All right, Pete.
My trailer is it's a film about a meteorite that strikes a small town and begins to grow a fantastical rainbow garden. And it sounds like it should be just delightful until I tell you it's based on an H.P. Lovecraft property. It's called Color Out of Space. Also, by the way, it stars Nicolas Cage. And so it's probably not going to be what you think it is. I am surprised one of you guys didn't take on this trailer.
I was close.
Were you?
Yep.
I'm glad. That actually is that's redemptive for me. The trailers or the poster's pretty. The trailer has lots of fun colors. Nicolas Cage is working on his subdued growly voice. What's not to like about this film? It is written by Richard Stanley, sometimes controversial director and writer, and Scarlett Amaris, co-writer on that. And it stars, who does it star? Nicolas Cage, Jolie Richardson, Madeline Arthur, Koryanka Kilcher, and Tommy Chong. Which is why you show up for a movie like this. Who are we kidding?
Yes.
I found myself intrigued by the trailer and intrigued in a just like kind of a, there's a little fender bender on the highway. I'm going to look at that. And I'm curious. I'm open to be surprised. The bar is pretty low for me on this one, but the visuals I thought were particularly intriguing. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I was really intrigued by the look of this. I mean, really kind of everything. The fact that it was kind of based on an H.P. Lovecraft property. It looks like it's going down an interesting road. I can't quite tell where the story is going to go, but it definitely piqued my curiosity. I know Richard Stanley was notoriously taken off of the island of Dr. Moreau back in the 90s. And then I don't know really much of his work since then. I know he's been kind of doing a lot of indie small things. Yeah, so it was odd to me that they plugged that because I'm like, okay, so clearly it's for fans of something of his. I'm not sure. I know maybe some of his earlier stuff. But, I don't know. There's something about Nicolas Cage in this era that even in his films that may not look that great, they still pique my curiosity. So I'm very curious about this one.
Did you see Elijah Wood has a producing credit on this?
I didn't notice that.
I think that's fascinating.
No,
what'd you think, Steve?
It looks well. I'm a fan of Richard Stanley's work in what was it? Hardware? Was that 1980, 1990, something like that? 90. So. Yeah, no, I love the look, which is why I brought in a little extra lighting for myself here.
It looks good.
I love the pinkish hue to everything. No, it has a very. I love the look of this. The story, I don't know, but I think it's an interesting. I'm not a Lovecraft fan, so I'm not familiar with this story, but this looks like a good trailer rewind pick. Again, 2 out of 3 here that JJ's not going to probably go for, but that's none of his business. He just gets to ride along with whatever I pick. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Nicolas Cage, but yeah, it's going to be over the top Nicolas Cage, but this looks like a really intriguing, horror type, mind bender film, which I'm always on board for. And as it said, it was the return of Richard Stanley. I thought, oh, where's he been? But he's, as Andy said, he's been doing these smaller indie films, but I guess this is the return to something, I don't know, that actually gets a theatrical release, maybe? I don't know. Yeah.
Release date on this one looks like January 24th. I'm having to do this on a different thing. I don't know what are if you guys have other release dates. That's it. But that's when it looks like we get it. I'm doing the thing because my computer's choking, so I'm doing it on my iPad. And when you click on release dates in the IMDb app, it doesn't take you to release dates. It wants to add the release date to your personal calendar. IMDb, lame. Why are you doing this to me?
It says January 24th. Yeah, January 24th. That's correct.
All right, we'll go with that.
Yes.
There you go. Color Out of Space.
All right.
Nicolas Cage.
Well, let's do our lists.
Really?
So, yeah.
Do we have to?
let's rip this Band-Aid off. Yes. Okay. So, this week we were talking about, what are we talking about this week on the show?
Videodrome.
And, the list that you guys came up with on our Show Talk channel over in Discord for our poll was when your tech comes to life, figures whose characters exist only on a screen, and people with technology integrated into their bodies.
2 out of 3 of those, I think, would have been exceptional lists.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Unfortunately, the one that we landed on, figures whose characters exist only on a screen, that's where it landed, and that's where we built our lists before somebody else voted and ended it in a tie. And so since we already did our lists, we're going with that one anyway. So here we go. Movies with characters who only appear on a screen. I know I did quite a bit of cheating. So
quite a bit. Yeah. No, very loose interpretation of figures, characters. Every word that I'm about to say has air quotes around it. Go ahead. Who's first?
All right, Steve, kick us off.
Keywords, Google and IMDb keywords and everything let me down. Even my brain let me down because I was like, oh, this movie. And I'm looking and I'm finding clips. I'm like, no, that failed. So I guess it's a slightly bending the rules if your story is about a director who is watching his film being played on network TV, and then all kinds of crazy things happen with the commercials, and characters from the commercials start ending up in the movie, and then he ends up in the movie. So technically they're all in the movie that's being projected on TV screens across Italy in 1989's The Icicle Thief. Either of you seen The Icicle Thief?
I've heard of it. I never knew anything about it other than the title is a spoof on another famous Italian film.
So it's 1989. So there's some really interesting effects when you've got people from color television commercials in this black and white film, and color and black and white being mixed. And it's a really fun, entertaining film, but that's my first one because it all sort of takes place in the world of, or a vast majority of it takes place in the world of the movie that's being broadcast on, like, television. So that's where they're in the screens.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
this is where the list is going. My first one actually is as soon as I saw that this was the list it was my obvious choice. I'm like, oh, of course that one. And in my brain said, well, that's there. It must be easy to come up with other ones.
Yep.
It didn't prove to be the case, but this is my first one. And my brain tells me I am correct that this character never appears physically in the film. I could be wrong because I only saw it once. But it's a film I really enjoyed. This is the really kind of interesting but scoffed sci-fi film that Tom Cruise did in 2013, directed by Joseph Kosinski, Oblivion, because Melissa Leo's character as his commander, I can't remember what is her name, let me look here, as the Tet, aka Sally, he only ever communicates with her on the screen. And that's the, before he kind of realizes there's a bigger story and has to get up to the ship and all. And so that's like, maybe she appears at the end, but I think that she's not real. I think not to spoil the movie, but hey, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. That's my recollection of that. Melissa Leo only appears on a monitor. Oblivion.
It's a steal.
Okay, so then maybe I'm right. Maybe she does fully appear.
Okay. You're right. But I'll tell you, my inner monologue did exactly the same thing you just did out loud when I picked this movie. And I didn't I looked at clips and I brought up the movie. I didn't have time to watch it.
Well, I was reading the synopsis again. I'm like, okay, but it doesn't say. So I couldn't figure out.
I know. Well, I can't believe that your first pick wasn't the easiest pick that I will go ahead and take, which is 1987's adaptation of an MTV sketch, which is Max Headroom. And I think I saw that film only once. And so there's a chance that maybe Matt Brewer is in the movie, but I can't remember that he is. I think he really only exists on those screens. I think that was kind of, once he becomes Max Headroom, but he's a reporter first.
Yeah, right. And then he crashes.
First. Then he crashes and he becomes, and so the character of Max Headroom. So that's what I'm going with.
Right.
Loose interpretation again of
right.
Characters.
He crashes into a sign at a parking garage and it says, maximum or max headroom.
Headroom. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That was nice kind of clever. I remember that movie thinking, wow, look what they did. They just made a movie out of that thing that never existed before.
I forgot that started as like a TV movie.
Yeah, and a commercial.
It started as a commercial?
He was a it was a commercial. And MTV sketch, and then
you're right. Okay. Yeah. And then it became a TV series, and I watched that too. Yeah. I was a fan.
Weird. What a weird thing to have a growing, the Max Headroom cinematic universe about. That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll get an announcement next week. Next week, they'll be announcing they're bringing that back. So
actually, I hear that Max Headroom is in this new Vietnam era movie with James Dean. It's going to be very strange.
He was the only one that they could cast.
He's the only one who could do it. Yes. I'd buy that argument more than James Dean.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have second picks?
Yes. Okay. Actually, so this builds off of your pick, Pete.
Oh, good for me.
My number 2 is, and I do have to give credit to my wife and my brother for helping it out because I was drawing blanks all over the place on this. But so Max Headroom was a thing in the 80s. And so when you go into the future, into 2015, and have a retro bar that's about the 80s, you have Max Headroom-esque characters, right? Mm-hmm. Which, in Back to the Future 2, it's not one of the Max Headroom characters I'm talking about. Actually, Marty's coworker, Needles, played by Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, only appears on the TV screens in that sequence when Marty gets fired.
Wow.
We see Needles later on in Back to the Future 3 when they're drag racing and all that, but that character, which is a brief appearance, but only appears on screen.
That's actually a great pick.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's a really good pick.
I was racking my brains for movies like that where it's okay, there has to be a sequel or something where there's a character who appears later in the film in a different film, but in one film it's only that. And that one didn't pop to mind. So
thank you, Tavis Sarmento, for that.
Good on you.
Yep.
My next choice is another one that feels like an obvious choice for this. And again, I was racking my brains going, is this correct? And I couldn't 100% agree, but I think I am right. It is the film from 1984 called 1984, and it is Big Brother who is appearing on the screen. And as my recollection is, we only see him on the screen. I think we see Richard Burton at one point on the screen too, but we do see him in the film. But I think Big Brother himself, played by Bob Flagg, only ever appears on the screen. So really interesting adaptation I quite enjoy with John Hurt. And that's my second pick, 1984.
1984. Okay.
Was that wasn't a steal then, huh?
It was not a steal. No. I have one that I'm bringing up from the bonus picks because I had a steal, and I just can't remember. So you tell me if it doesn't work, if you remember it, otherwise, fine. I think when Forrest Gump goes to meet Richard Nixon, we only see Richard Nixon through a TV screen.
That may be true. That may be true with a number of the characters. I think that might be true with John Lennon also.
Right. So I think there are, let's just say, whatever characters only show up on a TV screen in the movie Forrest Gump, that's what I'm going for. How about that?
That works. That works. All right, Steve.
Pete, you have little icons for the steals and all that, and double steal and all of that. Can we get a special icon for Woody Allen movies that Pete should have had on his list that he did not put on his list?
Whoa.
The Purple Rose of Cairo, half that cast, or majority of that cast is stuck only on the screen, Pete.
Okay.
And I know we've used Purple Rose of Cairo several times before, but...
What is that icon? Is it the man with his hand on his forehead icon? Is that
yes,
it?
I think that.
Yeah.
But he has to look like Woody Allen from Bananas with that big, like the big hair. Oh, that's a good one. Right. I should have thought about that one. That's a really interesting Woody Allen film. All right. For my last one, I'm kind of landing in the area where Pete ended. This is a film that I think I'm hard pressed to really say that it works, but but I'm using his rule, which and I said Bill Clinton because I was thinking of my movie, Bill Clinton. I'm thinking of Contact, of course, with Jodie Foster, Matthew McConaughey, but also I think it's semi-fair to say John Hurt, even though he appears in the film earlier. But I would say that his famous line from that, "Want to take a ride," which is only on the screen while he's up in the space station, I think that alone deserves to be on this list just because it's such a great moment of a character on a screen.
I will never object to putting Contact on the list.
I wonder, I'm still building the database. I wonder how many times we've had Contact on the list. I know I've picked it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure things have popped up before. We need to start watching more movies, clearly.
That's right. Okay. My final. This is what I like to call my hand-wringing, I give up, who were the idiots who picked this list pick. And it is one of my very favorite movies. And it is as far from, in my own mind, a legitimate pick as I could come. That is Samantha from Spike Jonze' 2009 fantastic AI hit, Her. I love the movie. I had a whole list of, I've got Gertie from Moon, I've got Whopper from War Games, and Samantha from Her, but I thought I don't want to do a whole AI list that I adore. So I landed on this one just because I'm out, just out of ideas. I can't wait for the community to jump in because I'm sure
what
there
are we
so
forgetting?
many super obvious ones.
I had Her on my backup list, so that's.
Did you really? Excellent, excellent. So yeah, Nick and Meteor Plum, and come on, you guys, bring it. What do you got? What did we miss?
So we did have Contact on the best first contact with aliens on Earth list. It was also in the nonsensical use of technology to solve a plot problem.
You two need to get together because it sounds like you've already done all the research that Pete's redoing.
No. I have a Google Doc called SatMat, and that's where I put my notes, and I just sort of log, because for a while it was, well, we can't use that movie. It was already used on a list because somebody has real strict rules about things, and so I was trying to keep track of those.
I'm not strict on that rule.
Okay.
Anyway,
rules.
It was an interesting and difficult list. My backups were all like films like The Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity, where I'm like, I could argue that it's found footage and technically someone's watching it and they're on the screen. That was where I was going with all of my backups. But
yeah, my backups were sort of AI stuff like Hal. He's sort of on the screen, and then Electric Dreams, which I think actually, Andy, did you mention that last week? But that was for the other list of technology
comes to life or something. Yeah, I can't
life or something like that. Yeah. But the computer character is always on a screen there. Yeah.
All right. Well, there it is.
Let's get to a new
there
list.
It is.
Let's get to a new list.
So this week,
please.
we are going to be talking about Dead Ringers. We'll be closing out our David Cronenberg series. So Steve and I were chatting about this last night, Pete, and we decided we 100% are ruling off the option to put any films about gynecologists on here.
Outstanding. I was going to come to that as table stakes too.
Yeah. We're like, nah, we're not even going to, because if this is where people, because people will vote on it. And then you're like, okay, well, where are we with that?
It did remind, as I was driving home, it did remind me of Saturday Night Live sketch from a long time ago. Mel Gibson, dream gynecologist. And it was Mel Gibson and I think John Lovitz were the two gynecologists that shared practice, and everybody went to go see Mel. And John Lovett's like, I've got an opening. Everybody's like, no. The lady's like, no, we'll wait.
Well, that was the gaff on that Richard Gere movie, right? Was it Dr. T and the Women or whatever? It was. Yeah. That was not a good movie.
All right. So the Dead Ringers non-gynecological list.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what did you come up with?
Twins.
Well, we did twins.
Yeah.
Twins.
Twin movies. Good.
Do they need to be identical?
Freaky Fridays.
Do we want to say identical twins?
Yeah.
I
think we have to say
I think that's
twins.
Okay.
What else?
How about something involving like the strange tools, like unique movie tools? I don't want to say medical instruments because then we're going to get ourselves into trouble. But if we say unique movie tools only seen in film or something like that.
Yeah. Wacky tools.
Yeah, wacky tools.
Wacky looking tools.
Wacky tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's going to pick that, you guys. I don't know where you're going to start.
Fine. We'll find something.
I've got one.
Yeah. I had one for this one, too.
I know.
Okay. And when's the last time we did drug-addled decline movies?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I don't know. Let me check
the
list. No.
I think that's a good list. We got identical twins, wacky tools, and drug-addled decline movies.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I like it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, that is going up in the Show Talk channel over on Discord. So head over there. If you have access to it, you are a Patreon supporter. We appreciate that. Go over to thenextreel.com/Patreon, become a Patreon supporter, and then get into the Show Talk channel and get your vote in before next week. We may be recording a little early next week, so get your votes in before what? Thursday, midday?
Thursday, yeah. I think we're going to have...
I think we're recording Thursday night next week.
Yeah. Yes, I think that's true. Well, that would be up to you.
That's true. I don't know yet.
Right. So we might be recording Thursday. I think we're probably on Saturday next week and Thursday the week after. That's when we change to our winter schedule.
Yeah. Yes.
The winter schedule.
Oh. That's true, because I probably will not be here for this list. So you guys will have to sort it out on your own.
Oh. Well, that's good. Then send me your movies. Don't send them to Steve.
What? Wait, so we're recording Thursday, but Andy's still not going to be here?
We're recording Saturday next week. Yeah. We're here.
Yeah, I was thinking of the following week.
Yeah. Awesome.
Got it. Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks to
all of our listeners. We appreciate it.
Hondo.